Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Nvidia, ticker symbol NVDA. And so here during this stream, I will be streaming their earnings call, which will be taking place about an hour from now. So current time is right around 4:02 Eastern. Markets just closed. We are here looking at the Nvidia chart on the 1 minute time scale. And, I was going to start this about 15 minutes before the call, but, I just wanted to go over some tickers that were requested in the meantime and also keep an eye on what the Nvidia chart is doing. It did close at a price of $949.50, being about 0.5% down on the day. So not really too exciting there, kind of waiting in anticipation for their earnings call, for their results. And, I think that this could be like, a make or break type of scenario for the markets, whether we continue higher or we found a top. And I have to say that, before I get into the earnings call, I am short semiconductors just via the ticker SOXS, which is, I believe, 3x leveraged semiconductors, short leveraged semiconductors. And so I'm interested because I do think that there will be a top soon. But if price of Nvidia and semiconductors in general do go higher, I just get more discounted shares on the short ETF. So it doesn't really matter too much to me. I just think it's like a really interesting indicator of where the markets are going because, Nvidia has just been so insane over the past year or so. And then, hey, JD, I see your comment. Good day, degenerates. Good day, everyone. And so I did get a couple requests, one for Robinhood and one for Tupperware, and so I will go over those probably on the daily time frame, as that is how I do most of my analysis. But then also I did want to point out that AMC did close above $5 a share, so that's pretty exciting. I am an AMC shareholder, an APE, and I'm excited to see what happens with the stock moving forward, although it is coming down about 1% in the after hours. And GameStop looks like it was red on the day, came down about 4.5%. I think that the second half of June is going to be really good for both of these tickers. So the longer they stay lower, I'm fine with that. Just more opportunity for all of us to accumulate more. But I'm just excited about those. It does look like Nvidia in the after hours did go up just about 0.2%. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see where that goes. But I did, want to go over the Robinhood chart as that was requested. It does look pretty interesting to me. And then also going over the T-Up or Tupperware chart. But here looking at Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD, there is one thing that stands out to me about the chart. You may be able to recognize it based on the videos that I do, things I like to look for, and that is bearish divergence. And so what we see here is a higher high in the stock price hitting a high. Let's see, of $20.55 on the 27th. It was 1 penny lower so I should say March 27th. One day later, on March 28th, it went up to a high of $20.54, so just a little bit lower. So we do have a top in there. Then we did get a pullback. And as of yesterday, on the 21st of May, we hit a high of $21.21, pulling back pretty massively today. Let's see, down 6.2% on the day. And with that higher high in the stock price, we can look down at the RSI and see that we've put in a lower high. And so that is bearish divergence, unfortunately. And so one of the let's see. And actually, though, it's interesting. It is kind of misaligned in that the high in the RSI was over here more like March 4th. But then we did continue to put in higher highs in the price, but the RSI put in lower highs. So there was bearish divergence forming back here. And then we did see a pullback from that high, retracing about 20%. And so right now, just like back here, though, just because it's the first sign of bearish divergence, Doesn't necessarily mean that the top is going to be in. It could, rally higher, maybe get up to $22. But if the RSI is not putting in higher highs with the stock price, that would just be kind of an amplification of that bearish signal, like what we saw back here, really ranging from, like the beginning of March to the end of March. Really, the whole month of March was just forming bearish divergence. And so we are starting to see that. Now, this, of course, being on a longer time scale, if I do switch over to the weekly chart, let's see how that looks maybe. On the weekly chart, the week is not over yet, but regardless of where the week closes, we have put in a higher high than this week that ended at the end of March 28th. And that does look like on the weekly time frame, that was the high in the RSI, corresponding with 81.9. And so we'll have to see what the RSI is at the end of this week, what the high is for the end of this week. If it still is 21.21, that would definitely be a clear indicator that on the weekly time frame, so not the hourly, not the daily, the weekly time frame, that we have put in some bearish divergence. And with that, let's see, we did get some volume moving up on the big green day, which was a couple weeks ago. So the week ending on, or I guess I should say last week, the week ending on May 17th, did get a surge in volume, and price went up almost 24% over the course of the past week. But it does look like we've gotten some rejection. The one thing that I'm really curious about with Robinhood that I haven't really figured out yet is, what's Bitcoin doing? Because I think Bitcoin is a really good indicator or kind of a proxy for what Hood might be doing, since I feel like they have really pivoted into the crypto space. And I actually do daily purchases, pretty small ones, but I do daily purchases of crypto on Robinhood. And I feel like if Bitcoin's going higher, Robinhood likely is. So maybe this is a fake out. We are looking at it on the weekly time frame, so the week is not over. But looking at it on the daily time frame, the candle for today didn't engulf yesterday's candle, but it did engulf the previous day's candle. So that was Monday on the 20th. We did get a fully engulfing candle, bearish engulfing candle today on the 22nd and on the 21st. So yesterday, it does look like we put in what could be viewed as a hammer candle or a, let's see, not a dragonfly doji, but something similar to that. This would actually be a hanging man candle or doji, because it is a hammer at the top of, a pretty big up move. So this up move going back to May 10th represents about 30% move to the upside. And then we get this kind of indecision or reversal signal that is a hanging man candle or doji, I believe doji, but hanging man hammer maybe. And so that does suggest a reversal. We did get this wick above the open, closing lower than the open. So yeah, I think that this could be pulling back, and a level that it could be pulling back to would be the 236 at a price of $18.22. And so that is based on this retracement here, going from the low of February 6th, which was at a price of $10 and actually 54 cents. So maybe I should adjust this, or maybe I have that drawn to, let's see, the open. 10. No, I should maybe adjust this. Let's see. The previous day, okay, it's just the day off. Correct retracement, but to February 5th rather than the 6th. Low of 1051 hit on that day. So a retracement from there up to the high of this previous or high that we hit on March 28th. That retracement, the 236 is at 1822. So I would look for a pullback to that level. And also one thing that I could find, as I would say would be pretty compelling support there, is if we do throw up the volume profile, we do have this pronouncement of this volume shelf there. Corresponding to this consolidation here, a lot of volume traded in that region. And so because of that, there are probably going to be buyers down here at around 18 or 1822, maybe 1850. And so if price does come down about $1 more, it might be finding support there and then maybe continue to a new higher high. So I would keep a lookout for that, but I do think it's probably going to be pulling back over the course of this week with the high of 21.21. Maybe a week or 2 weeks from now, we are getting higher than that, but for now, I do think it's going to be pulling back. And so kind of on that note, I'm just going to pull up the BTC chart. Oh man, why did I didn't want this. Just going to pull up Bitcoin USD. All right, so from that, pulling back from 70K, and this is on the daily time frame. Let's see. We're not able to put in a higher high than over here, but this could just keep going. I always find myself being pretty surprised by Bitcoin, so I could definitely see this eclipsing 74,000. The high here, at least in Webull, which is not the best way to look at Bitcoin, the high was $73,826.20. I could see price getting higher than that. I could see this as being a bull flag and price going higher. And so with that, I do think that Robinhood will likely be going higher, but it might be in this kind of bull flag formation with Bitcoin. Robinhood might be retracing to 1822, so maybe that's a good level to dip by at, as I do think there will be a lot of support there, and I do think that there is a lot more upside for Bitcoin, whether that's in the next couple weeks or years ahead. So if you're looking for Robinhood as a swing trade, I'd wait for 1822, if not potentially lower. If you're looking for it for a long-term hold and it is correlated with Bitcoin, I think you're safe. But I'm not in it, so you do you. But then, yeah, I will actually switch back to the Nvidia chart because that is what the stream is all about. I just thought I'd start it a little bit early to go over some tickers that were requested that I was probably not going to do videos on. If you do like the videos that I put out, make sure you like them, make sure you share them. The Robinhood video, I think, only had about 36 views, so for me, it doesn't really warrant, making a follow-up video on it, at least not yet. And so I am happy to go over my thoughts in a stream. But yeah, and Marky Mark, what's up? Did I see AMC pump end of the day today? I definitely did. So I will flip over to that because it doesn't look like Nvidia is moving too much. About 2% in the after hour, or wait, $2 in the after hours. That's about 0.2% up. So nothing too crazy there. AMC, yeah, did rally up to $5.23 in the last, hour or so. The market was open. And so looking pretty good there. I'm just stoked that it closed above $5 a share, up 8.61% on the day, closing at 506. Is this going to be continued? That's the big question. With GameStop not really going up on the day, going down actually 4.5%. I view that we're going to see some kind of psych out pumps, whether it's with AMC, whether it's GameStop, because I think that, people entered positions, I imagine established positions at the highs here. GameStop even went up to $80.07, I believe, with pre-market trading, I think. AMC went up to $13.30, I believe, with pre-market trading. There are some people that bought up there. And so what I think is going to happen, at least, if I am a market maker or if I am trying to exploit people's emotions, what I would do following this run up is I try to hold the price down for as long as possible so people doubt their thesis that, hey, we're entering a new meme market, that these are going to be rallying. And so my thought process is over the next couple weeks, AMC and GameStop are going to be suppressed. And people are going to start to lose faith. There's going to be a lot of infighting. People are going to sell down here. Those who bought up here are going to sell at a loss down here, thinking it was a stupid decision. And then, when we're at that peak fear, that peak, frustration amongst the apes and all of retail, just bashing each other, that this was the MOAS, laughing at each other, then I think that will mark the bottom. I think we're probably a couple weeks away from that. And I do think if we look at the options table, so here, AMC has weekly options, but on the monthly, that would be June 21st. So there might be a lot of momentum around that expiration with price going higher. And, just like we saw a lot of momentum last week, May 17th, last Friday, was the the monthly expiration for options. And so we'll be seeing that again in June on the 21st. So I suspect that week, so really the week after June 24th, that Friday, I think we could see a lot more momentum to the upside. And so, yeah, I think that both of them are going to be rallying much higher than what they hit last week. But I think there has to be more tension built up before we see the big rallies. So right now, both stocks, I think that it's a great opportunity, a dip buying opportunity. And I think that we're still in it. We've just got to be patient. I think it's going to be a couple more weeks. And so what I'm doing, I'm basically hanging tight, and I look forward to accumulating more GameStop in a couple weeks, and adding more AMC. But I have a lot of AMC, so I'm not really too concerned about that. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of upside for them. And so I'm just going to switch over to Nvidia, looking at the minute time scale here. Nothing yet. I don't think that they've released their earnings report. That's when we would see a lot of the volatility. So because they haven't released that just yet, I am going to switch over to Tupperware, ticker symbol TUP, Tupperware Brands, because this was requested. And I did go over it in the penny stock video. And what I see here, I just thought I'd go over my thoughts. This doesn't really stand out to me as one that really warrants a video, but I will probably do one on Barnes & Noble Education, ticker symbol BNED, because that chart's been pretty interesting. I think there's a lot to learn from it. And let's see, Marky Mark says, solid thesis, makes sense how these market makers use psychology, make the most money. Yeah, so I think it's like you can think about that with so many things. A lot of times, so there's this chart, Aquesttive. I do currently have a position in them, but I'm don't really want to hold it just because I feel like it's going to be, opportunity cost holding the, not necessarily the bag. I have 100 shares at $3.30. That was because I sold a covered call that expired last week, thinking that it might be going higher. But, it's holding this level, I believe, as support, but it could be a bear flag, so it might be breaking lower. But what I had previously done is identified this inverse head and shoulders pattern. I started accumulating around here, thinking that 250 was a great level to be dip buying at, thinking it'd wick down to that level, because just after crossing that neckline, opening above but then closing below, we got a wick down to 250, some price action around there. I thought 250 was a seal for this one. But then the process of breaking that neckline took about 2 months. And so during that process, I lost the conviction that I had in this playing out. I started to doubt myself in my analysis. And over the course of this time, a great time to accumulate, my price target based on a measured move, so from the bottom of this head here to the neckline, taking that to the break of where that shoulder is, I expected price to go to around $4 a share. Went way past that, went above $6 a share to a high of $6.23. So those 2 months following that formation of this right shoulder and a rejection at the neckline, that was all just designed for retail to be losing faith, getting out of positions like I did. I made a little bit of money on it, but I could have made a lot more. And so I think that's what's just going on with all markets, really. And so right now with Nvidia, I am switching over to them because it does look like we've got some volatility. The earnings report has been released. Within this minute, we see a low down to $918.20, but now going higher, hitting a high so far in the after hours over $989, $990 plus. I think we're going to be hitting $1,000 a share during the after hours session. And so with that being said, maybe this is a top and that we will be seeing a sell-off following the call. This is all algorithms taking advantage of what is in that earnings report, scanning it for keywords, for sentiment, for outlook, forecast. What does the company look like moving forward? And maybe there's an opportunity to get some volatility, move it up, but then maybe sell it off once, the report has been digested by those who can't scan it, those who actually have to read it and, adjust position. So yeah, pretty exciting here. And, and that is not to say that I do think that price will be going down following earnings. I think that it could be getting up to, let's see, what is the market cap right now? Over 2 trillion. I think it could be going to 2.5 right now at 2.34. But with that being said, I do think that the higher it gets, the more precarious it gets, and that we will likely see a turnaround. And so with that being said, I have been stacking a short position with 3x leverage short semiconductors via ticker symbol SOXS. And if we're seeing any more dips, I can pull that ticker up here. I think that, looking at this on the daily time frame, we hit a new low here, $26.88. Looking at it on the minute time frame, dipping down to 26.05. I think that this is all discounted pricing for SOXS. I think that any pricing that we're seeing here with Nvidia, I think it's getting near the top. Sunlighty. Yes, Nvidia is definitely up. Let's see, 4%. Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like it's having a little bit of a tough time getting up to 1,000. So far, the high is $997.92. So it does look like there's a little bit of a cap there. Yeah, it's too bad. I was about to get into Tupperware, but I've got to follow this for a minute. But actually, on that note, I might go over Tupperware real quick. Going to switch over to the daily time frame, and then I will come back to Nvidia. But it does look like, it is looking pretty strong, and that this consolidation might be a bull flag for a move higher. And so, really, I feel like the sentiment is that it is going to be going higher. And so maybe good to be a contrarian, that it might be pulling back. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, thinks that, it's gone high enough, but maybe not just yet. And so actually, before I switch over to TUP, I am going to wait for this to hit $1,000 a share, because I think it's going to be happening. We're at about $993 right now. I think 1,000's on the table. And but maybe it's not, though, because we do have to get above this wick of $997.92. So that is going to be a key one to get above. Can we do it? Maybe I'll wait one more minute and see. And yeah, it does look like maybe not. So yeah, maybe the live coverage of it hitting 1,000. Actually, no, I should wait just a minute more for this candle to be complete at least. Gotta have like 5 seconds left or something. Otherwise, this minute is taking a long time. Got about 15 seconds. Wow, I must have... Yeah, I was watching that candle be formed. I guess we all were, so... and I do see the comment on SPWR. Is that Sunpower? Or a solar company? SPWR. Sunpower Core. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll look over them as well. And now with that candle closed, I'm going to first go over Tupperware brands because that was requested. I don't have too much to say on it. But one thing that is kind of encouraging, that this high might have been a lower high, pretty big red candle on Monday coming down over 9%. And so looking at that, it was a lower high, but the RSI was also a lower high. So there's no bearish divergence there. And it does seem like it is respecting this level, the 382 at $1.93, closing above $2.02. So I could definitely see that being respected as support in this continuing higher. But if it does break lower, the 50% retracement is right around $1.74. And there is a pretty good amount of consolidation there. If I throw up the volume profile, actually, it does look like right where it's at, there's a good amount of consolidation. So this could be the volume shelf that serves as support before the next leg up. But if it does dip lower, 174, it does seem likely. So that is what I would be looking for. As the penny stocks that I've covered, some of them have been moving a lot. And, this, although, this one has actually pulled back 9%. What is a level to the upside that this might be going to? Really, 255 does seem like a pretty important one for it to get above, because it does correspond with these tops over here. But if it does break higher, I could see it going to $3. That's a 50% swing, and that is also the start of this volume shelf here. Maybe it does get rejected there if it can, break out above 255. And so that's a 50% swing. I think that there's a lot there. And then maybe it does get kind of caught up in the meat of this shelf. That would be going to around 350. So, there's a potential from $2 to it's a 75% swing maybe. So a lot there. And if it does get above the shelf, above 350, the next real pronouncement in the volume profile is around 460. So maybe it even gets to $4. Who knows? But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. And I should note, I am not in any of the penny stocks that I have covered on the channel. But I am going to switch back over to Nvidia because it is the ticker of the hour. But yeah, couldn't get 1,000. So that makes me think, it's, that's a pretty important level. Just 3 zeros in that number, not including decimals. So yeah, maybe it's pulling back to 974 as I do have this line here. I'm actually going to take a step back, look at the 4-hour charts. We can look where some of these levels, that was the prior high, $974. And so, we're testing that now. But if we do look at the daily chart, we closed below that. We hit a high of $979.20. And so that is a new high during market hours. During market hours. No. Let's see the high for the day, 979. That doesn't make sense, does it? The high, 960. I don't know why it says 971 up here. Probably because it includes some after hours pricing. I'm not really sure. But I am going to close a blind that is blinding me a little bit. A blind. That's 1 second. And my computer is west facing. And so this time of day, I get blinded a little bit. Should be all good. But yeah, so the high here, it looks like for the day, pretty crazy that it's not reading the right thing over here. But I think it's just because it's including the after hours pricing. But it does look like, we are getting a pretty notable pullback, having pulled back below $974. Did not hit an all-time high during the day, but we did during the after hours. As long as I'm seeing that right, maybe we did get, no, this is the highest high that we've seen in the after hours session. And I do think that after hours pricing, when the market is closed, I think that you can see a lot of fake out pricing. And it's quite possible that we're seeing that this is, maybe just big firms saying, hey, let's pump up the price. Once the market closes, there's lower volume. We can get people to buy thinking that it's going up following the earnings release. And then we can get them to, buy our shares, drive the price up from here, sell up here, and then price goes down. So, maybe that's what's going on, but maybe we are seeing something else happening, and we do see price continue higher. We do have about half an hour before the earnings call starts. I'll start to get everything set up for that in about 15 minutes. But for the time being, just exploring other tickers that have been requested, one of them being Sunpower, ticker symbol SPWR. Yeah, so I have the high here, 997.92, which could definitely be different on different exchanges. So, yeah, that's especially, I think, with after hours pricing, it can be difficult to get the pricing just right. But really, like, the top here with these candles, with the highest close on the minute time scale in the after hours session so far, $994.50. So yeah, I think 1,000 per share is going to be a pretty important level. Maybe we see price taking off. So I would look for that. But I will switch over to Sunpower. When do they have their earnings call? I'm just going to switch over to the daily time frame. So this is Sunpower Corporation, ticker symbol SPWR. And earnings, let's see. I got the little symbol here, but it doesn't say 5/22. So earnings happening today. Perhaps in the after hours, I'm not really sure. Sorry, I couldn't be covering, but I'm very curious to see what's going on with Nvidia and with Nvidia. It's so funny sometimes when speaking. I get caught up in my words, and especially when listening to myself when editing videos, it's crazy some of the noises I and or we can make when speaking. But yeah, so here what I see is the spinning top. Could be kind of a blow off top, or not necessarily a blow off top, but spinning top like this shows kind of indecision. Got the big wick to the upside, showing that there's not enough buying pressure to put it higher. Big wick to the downside, there's not enough selling pressure to push it to the downside. Did close red on the day as far as the relative to the open, did close lower, but it was up 14%. Maybe earnings was before market. If that is, let's see, on Tesla boost, that's pretty cool. 1 hour ago, solar share surges, China pledges measures against price war, technology sector update. Let's see. Yeah, so maybe there's a bottom here. And one thing that, I do this in like all of my charts, but doing a Fibonacci retracement from the low here of 176.5. I should be able to get this lined up just right. And then going to the high up here of $5.63. Can I get that just right? It does look like it pulled back almost to the penny to the 786. I'm just going to lock this in place so it doesn't move. And so with that, the 786 was at $2.59.2, hit a low yesterday of $2.62, almost perfectly retraced to that 786. And with that, it does look like, even though price did pull back from the open today, it does look like there's a pretty good amount of support below it, with all of this volume traded below current price 313. Actually, current price in the after hours is 315. And so I could see, actually taking a step back, it's just going to push that volume shelf higher and higher. But on the more immediate time frame, going back to the end of March, we do have these nice little volume shelves to the downside. And so as long as we're able to hold above really like $3 a share, makes sense, I think that could be good. But we did get a wick up to and rejection from the 50% today, 50% retracement at $3.69.7. Also, we did open above, but then close below the 618 at $3.24.1. You could just think about it as like $3.25. And so, maybe we do see a pullback potentially to test 260. But this could be, just the beginning of it moving higher. It's really tough to say, but I do think that these levels will be good to pay attention to. I don't know enough about the stock to say one way or the other which way it's going. But, I do think it's pretty cool that it did pull back to the 786. We do see a lot of this consolidation here, this volume shelf. And that actually, if it were to break below the 786, maybe get a wick below, that could be coming down to around 235 at the top of this volume shelf, or 216 at the base of it. And so that could be a range that it might be trading in, maybe fill in this kind of volume gap that we see here coming down to like 235. But, with that being said, these two wicks to the upside, also this gap here, that would be getting to, let's see, the close here was at $4.39. That does seem like there is, a gap that needs to be filled. But with these multiple rejections, two wicks up to the 50% level at 370, that's going to be a tough one to get above. So hopefully we can reclaim the footing right around current price, reclaiming 325. I think that would be really good, but it might be pulling back, like I said. So be careful with it. And I don't think I've got this on the DGen ed list, so I'm going to add it to it, and then I'll remove that here. And Tupperware I have gone over, as well as Robinhood, and I don't need Bitcoin up here, and I don't need this. So yeah, these are the ones that we're here for, at least I'm here for. And yeah, let's see. Looking at this, I don't need the volume profile. We are consolidating pretty cool, right around 974, so that prior all-time high. I think it's pretty neat how price tends to do things like this. Got kind of a blow off top here, a fake out break. But then let's see, maybe looking at this at the 5-minute time scale. Yeah, we got a close above on the 5-minute time scale, but then we retraced and closed below. So no confirmation above that all-time high. That is going to be a pretty key level. And it does look like we opened let's see, That's 435. Well, that's when it closed. The 430 candle that opened at a price of $974. Remarkable, right on that, to the penny, to the dollar, prior all-time high. You know, and actually, I think it's pretty interesting too because it, this is the 5-minute time scale. It closed, at 4:30 at $968.22. But then, that next 5-minute candle opened higher, so kind of gapped up to that level. It's like a magnet, for the price. And so let's see. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Sun is saying SPWR new to support Tesla Power 3 storage. Open as high as 370 after hours now. Drop back to 314. Yes, so I'll pull it back up. So here, yeah, open. Let's see. Well, the high was 374. And the open was, looks like at 326. Yeah, high, yep, 374. After hours now dropping back to 314. Yeah, so maybe it's like a sell the news type of pop or something, because maybe it did need to spend more time consolidating here. And also, an interesting thing to consider is this was also the Tuesday that AMC, GameStop, Plug Power spiked up. So, this could be a part of that. And I do feel like all of those are pulling back to consolidate, to kind of create max fear and to create max panic, max infighting, and amongst retail before the next leg up. And so actually looking at this chart, one thing that I noticed about a lot of those stocks is a falling wedge pattern. So do we have something like this? I got some of my older drawings on here from back in 2020 pandemic days, I was like, I think it's going up. And I was right, but I probably didn't hold it long enough to make as much as I could have. I'm just going to delete some of these older lines. If they let me delete them, go away. Okay. So yeah, with this, I don't necessarily see a falling wedge or anything like that. This is on the weekly, maybe something from here. So just being approximate from the high here to, whatever that is, however you want to connect these lines. Maybe this is a little bit more, multiple touch points there, but it did break out of that, kind of like pulled back to a retest approximately. If we do draw a trend line over here, approximately, I'm adjusting it based on this wick down, the pivot point, so that we did get an intersection here, testing that. And and this is on the weekly time frame, so I should note that. And that's how those lines look on the daily, so they're just approximate. But, I could see this having a next rally up, considering that its high was a red candle day, but being up green, almost 60% on May 14th, along with AMC, GameStop, Plug Power. So I could see there being a continuation with this, but just maybe settling out over the next couple weeks before kind of a surprise rally. That's what I would expect. But yeah, and so Nvidia not doing too much in the after hours here, still consolidating right around 974, but being above it currently at $978. But can we get a break above $1,000 a share? I think that's the real key level. Almost got to $998. Couldn't get to that, about 8 cents short before pulling back with this 1-minute candle here. Just a big wake up and not being able to get in closes above that high. So that is going to be a pretty important level. But yeah, just going to keep catching up on the comments here. And Sunlight says bought 2.85, sold 3.3 this morning. Open, plan to buy back at 2.9 to $3. And so yeah, with Sunpower, and I think it's really good too. I feel like it's very easy to get like attached to positions, attached to plays. I think it's really good that you are able to execute your plan, buy, sell, have a plan for when it dips to buy back in. So I think it's really good. Nice work. Yeah, can't spell AI without Nvidia, or you can't spell Nvidia without AI, yeah, one way or the other, you need them. So John, yeah, it's definitely the future, but I'm wondering if it's kind of like been priced in already. If people have just been like so bullish, piling so much money in that there will be a pullback. Um, whether that's today associated with earnings or maybe a month, 2 months down the road, we have not yet seen a market hours high topping $974. We might very well see that tomorrow, whether that's a wick above or, open above, close below, or starting above, gapping up and going higher. Who knows? It's a wild one to predict. And yeah, pretty soon here, I will flip over to actually read some of the earnings report. I should be able to get that from the website and just read it to you guys as we look at the chart. But I am going to continue to catch up on the comments here. Degenerative AI, I like it. Yes. Nvidia post good outlook, maybe tomorrow break 1,000. Yeah, I could see that, but it also could be a sell the news. Crazy how these things work. I am slowly accumulating a short position on semiconductors, but the reason why I'm doing it slowly is because I think the top may not be in. And if we do look at the bigger time frame, let's see, maybe there's some like here. Yeah, I mean, if the thing that would signal to me that this could be going higher than 974, so tomorrow being above 974, that'd be putting in a higher high, but the RSI has cooled off a lot since that prior high. And so that could be bearish divergence forming maybe over the next month. It doesn't have to, once you see bearish divergence or bullish divergence, it doesn't have to flip right away. It could take a month or more before that plays out. It could just make it more pronounced bearish or bullish divergence. Here, though, on the weekly time frame, we do have, this high going back here, high in the RSI, currently lower than that, but also lower in the RSI. But looking back here, we do have pretty high RSI going up to like 87.5. We did eclipse that, hitting 91.07 on the actually a couple weeks after hitting that all-time high. So this is the weekly chart. So that really does, I feel like that suggests that the top is probably not in. It's probably going to go up maybe over the next month. And right now, if we're looking at the 1 minute time frame, we are well above $974 at $985 almost. So we could definitely see this going higher if we're looking at this on the minute time frame, thinking about bearish divergence. Thus far, we do have lower highs in the price as well as in the RSI. So this could be breaking out, definitely a possibility. And I do feel like we will be seeing $1,000 a share tomorrow during market hours. So don't be surprised if that happens. Hey WS, I did go over T up earlier in the video. I'll put timestamps after it. Yeah, so that should be helpful for you. I believe you were asking for that one. But yeah, I think that this is probably going to be, I think that we're going to be seeing new highs in this tomorrow. But maybe once the call starts, maybe that changes and this is a sell the top. Sell above the prior all-time high. That'd be pretty epic to be on the chart. You look at it, the highest high it's ever been is $974 when looking on the daily time frame, and to say that, oh yeah, I sold at $997, pretty close to the top here, $997.92. So we'll see if we get higher than that. I suspect we will. But I might switch over to the website. We got about 15 minutes before the call starts. And I'm going to get onto Twitter. Sorry, I got all this crap here. I'm just going to close some of these tabs. You can't actually see the tabs, but you can see some. Oh man, I closed the Nvidia tab that I had open. But let's see. And, since I am masking the chart, I might switch over to you guys just view my Weeble, and then I can look at Chrome without it getting in your guys' view. Yep. Nvidia reports beat and raise. Q1 announced 150% dividend hike, 10-for-1 stock split. So tomorrow this might be trading above. Actually, I don't know when that will be enacted. Let's see. This is just going to pop it up. So let's see. Quarterly dividend reacting to the results. Nvidia stock rose in after hours trading, but we'll see where it ends up. Yeah, so that makes it more accessible to people. So that could actually be pushing the price higher, well above, what would be $100 a share if it is to open at 1,000 tomorrow. I'm not sure when that reverse split is going to be enacted. But that really just makes it more accessible to people. I, would not even be buying one share of Nvidia at these prices. I could definitely do that at $100 a share. But yeah, I'm just going to flip over, get this connected. And I am going to post, I guess, you guys don't need to see it, but I'm going to post on Twitter just letting people know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to repost my earlier posting. I guess I can share what I'm doing with you guys. So let's see here, 1 second. So this is what, it's actually behind me, so I'll just do this. Let's see. Yes, this is the Twitter page if you guys want to follow me. DGen Ann, short for Andy, that's me. Ed is the guy over there in the corner, doesn't talk much. And so I am just going to retweet this. And yeah, just get that going in case people want to join that haven't been able to. And then I'm just going to go over to NVIDIA Investor Relations, pull that up, and I will close this down so you guys aren't, your view of the chart is not obstructed by me getting this set up. So May 22nd. And so I can, let's see. Will be nice too. Presentations. Looks like they have some slides. Oh, this is actually something different. Never mind. I'm just making sure I can get connected to their earnings call. And so I'm going to get that set up. It should be going on about 11 minutes before it starts. And I am going to, let's see, mute the computer. Just in case it makes some noise. And I am going to register for the event and unplug myself in. There's probably going to be some music with it. Hopefully it's good music. But yeah, as I set this up, there's going to be an ad popping up in like 40 seconds, but I'm actually just going to have the ad go on right now instead as I get this set up, so bear with me. And yeah, I'm just going to plug myself in so I can hear to listen to the music. And yep, it's just some very light piano. I might get a copyright strike though if I share it with you guys. So what I'm going to do, you can hear that there. Oh, yep. So I'm just going to adjust the view of what's behind me and you can actually check it out here. This is what I am looking at. This is their, first quarter fiscal year 25 financial results. So we'll be listening to that here in about 10 minutes. I am just going to make sure everything looks good for the stream. Let's see. Let's see. That's not what I wanted. No, too much. Oh, almost there, almost there. I might actually just do this. Let's see. Let's see, sorry. Okay, I'll work with that. And so just so you know, if you guys are tuning in, what's my Twitter? My Twitter, I'll type it in the live chat. It's at dgen_an. I wanted it to be dgen_ed or dgen_andy, but both of those are taken. So I had to settle for that. Maybe I should do like the dgen_ed, but it is what it is. And I'm Andy. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to adjust the frame of the... Oh, actually, I can probably do that over here. Oh, and I actually want to make it bigger. Just want to do it so it says Nvidia behind me, even though it's like all in black and it's tough to read. And I might, let's see, crop the top a little bit. I think I cropped it too much there. Or no, that's about right. I'm just going to move this down. So that is what we're looking at. All right, and the sound should be connected. I just got it muted for you guys because it is just music right now. I've got about 6 minutes before the stream starts. Still have not hit a higher high than the after hours high of $997.92, which would then translate to $99.79.2 after the 1-for-10 reverse split. Or is that just a split? That's just a split, not a reverse split. Yeah, because they need to bring the price down, not bring it up. Yeah, so got about 6 minutes left, and I might Nvidia to increase dividend 150%. FX stock split, so maybe pull this up. Nvidia more than doubled its quarterly dividend and said it would enact a stock split to make its shares more accessible. Yay! The chipmaker declared a dividend of 10 cents a share, up from its previous dividend of 4 cents a share. Nvidia also announced a 10-for-1 forward stock split, after which the dividend would be 1 cent a share. Okay, so that makes sense. So, 10 cents, round number, 1 cent a share. Following that, the new payout equal to 40 cents a year represents an annual yield of 0.04% based on Nvidia's Wednesday closing price of $949.50, seen up here in red, but going up higher than that in the after hours. The company said that the split was meant to make ownership of its shares more accessible to employees, very important there, and investors. The dividend will be paid after the split becomes effective, which is expected June 10th. So mark your calendars, June 10th. This will be, 10 times less expensive. And so we got about 5 minutes before the earnings call starts. I'm just going to go back to this page here on Chrome and refresh it. Actually, I'm not going to refresh it just yet. I'll wait until we get closer to the call. But yeah, we will see. We will see. And, I do have AMC and GameStop here on the side, if you guys are curious. And I'll actually throw up some of the other ones that were, and also SOXS, if you're short semiconductors like I am, but I'm, just curious to learn more about them in the sector, and Nvidia, because they've kind of been like the poster child for semiconductors, at least for me. But I'm going to include the other tickers that were requested just so you guys can see that price action following, in after hours. I'm just going to clear my throat. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second. I ate an apple before streaming, and the sugar's from that, But seeing where it's at, it's kind of flat around here, $988, currently just below $987. But yeah, this could be setting up for, what we see here if we're just looking at the after hours pricing. Big move up, elevated volume. Volumes died down as it has consolidated to the upside. That makes me think it could be breaking out higher. So that's what I would be expecting. But I'm not nervous about it. If it goes up, great. If it goes down, it's fine too. But I think it will be seeing $1,000 a share at market open tomorrow. Unless this is the top, that would be sad. Making it more accessible to investors as it drops. It's kind of funny. We have about 2 minutes left before the earnings call should be starting. I have it in my ears right now, so I'll get you guys connected once that starts. I'm actually going to see if there's anything going on with... Yeah, I'm just going to... If you guys are interested in GameStop, I don't know if you are, but this guy, Wolf of My Street, constantly posting stuff about GameStop calls. Looks like the $20 strike for June 21st is, pretty hot. And that does suggest that, bullish going into the month of June. So I do think that expiration, the monthly calls for GameStop, also with AMC, could be pretty violent to the upside. So I just think it's going to take a little while because, gotta build up that infighting, and we're not there yet. We gotta have the blood in the street. Oh, and actually, let's switch the background to their call. About 1 minute, less than 1 minute before it starts. Let's see, about 35 seconds before the call should be starting. Yeah, to be honest, I think, so WS is saying crazy call. Someone was placing crazy $1 million bets on GameStop being at or above $20 a share June 21st, which is the monthly expiration for calls in June. I think that's a good bet. I think that's going to be above $20 a share then. I think it could be above 40. So, yeah. And so we've got about 5 seconds before it is 5 o'clock Eastern. And so I'm just going to refresh the page that I'm on here for the NVIDIA call. Cool. It's still just music, so you guys aren't missing anything. And once it does start, I will mute myself. And I need to get my notepad ready, actually, to take notes. Really just for timestamps. That's what I mainly take notes on during these streams. Yeah, big money. The call is starting. So I'm going to mute myself, and I will put this on for you. Hopefully the sound is good. Enjoy, guys.
All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star 1 again. Thank you. Simona Jankowski, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the first quarter of fiscal 2025. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the second quarter of fiscal 2025. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can be reproduced or transcribed without our prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, May 22nd, 2024, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. Let me highlight some upcoming events. On Sunday, June 2nd, ahead of the Computex Technology Trade Show in Taiwan, Jensen will deliver a keynote which will be held in person in Taipei, as well as streamed live. And on June 5th, we will present at the Bank of America Technology Conference in San Francisco. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Simona. Q1 was another record quarter. Revenue of $26 billion was up 18% sequentially and up 262% year-on-year, and well above our outlook of $24 billion. Starting with data center. Data center revenue of $22.6 billion was a record, up 23% sequentially and up 427% year-on-year, driven by continued strong demand for the Nvidia Hopper GPU computing platform. Compute revenue grew more than 5x, and networking revenue more than 3x from last year. Strong sequential data center growth was driven by all customer types, led by enterprise and consumer internet companies. Large cloud providers continue to drive strong growth as they deploy and ramp Nvidia AI infrastructure at scale and represented the mid-40s as a percentage of our data center revenue. Training and inferencing AI on Nvidia CUDA is driving meaningful acceleration in cloud rental revenue growth, delivering an immediate and strong return on cloud providers' investment. For every $1 spent on Nvidia AI infrastructure, cloud providers have an opportunity to earn $5 in GPU instant hosting revenue over 4 years. Nvidia's rich software stack and ecosystem and tight integration with cloud providers makes it easy for end customers to get up and running on Nvidia GPU instances in the public cloud. For cloud rental customers, Nvidia GPUs offer the best time to train models, the lowest cost to train models, and the lowest cost to inference large language models. For public cloud providers, Nvidia brings customers to their cloud, driving revenue growth and returns on their infrastructure investments. Leading LLM companies such as OpenAI, Adept, Anthropic, Character AI, Cohere, Databricks, DeepMind, Meta, Mistral, xAI, and many others are building on Nvidia AI in the cloud. Enterprises drove strong sequential growth in data center this quarter. We supported Tesla's expansion of their training AI cluster to 35,000 H100 GPUs. Their use of Nvidia AI infrastructure paved the way for the breakthrough performance of FSD version 12, their latest autonomous driving software based on vision. Video transformers, while consuming significantly more computing, are enabling dramatically better autonomous driving capabilities and propelling significant growth for Nvidia AI infrastructure across the automotive industry. We expect automotive to be our largest enterprise vertical within data center this year, driving a multi-billion revenue opportunity across on-prem and cloud consumption. Consumer internet companies are also a strong growth vertical. A big highlight this quarter was Meta's announcement of Llama 3, their latest large language model, which was trained on a cluster of 24,000 H100 GPUs. Llama 3 powers Meta AI, a new AI assistant available on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Llama 3 is openly available and has kickstarted a wave of AI development across industries. As generative AI makes its way into more consumer internet applications, we expect to see continued growth opportunities as inference scales both with model complexity as well as with the number of users and number of queries per user, driving much more demand for AI compute. In our trailing 4 quarters, we estimate that inference drove about 40% of our data center revenue. Both training and inference are growing significantly. Large clusters, like the ones built by Meta and Tesla, are examples of the essential infrastructure for AI production, what we refer to as AI factories. These next-generation data centers host advanced, full-stack accelerated computing platforms where the data comes in and intelligence comes out. In Q1, we worked with over 100 customers building AI factories ranging in size from hundreds to tens of thousands of GPUs, with some reaching 100,000 GPUs. From a geographic perspective, data center revenue continues to diversify as countries around the world invest in sovereign AI. Sovereign AI refers to a nation's capabilities to produce artificial intelligence using its own infrastructure, data, workforce, and business networks. Nations are building up domestic computing capacity through various models. Some are procuring and operating sovereign AI clouds in collaboration with state-owned telecommunication providers or utilities. Others are sponsoring local cloud partners to provide a shared AI computing platform for public and private sector use. For example, Japan plans to invest more than $740 million in key digital infrastructure providers, including KDDI, Sakura Internet, and SoftBank, to build out the nation's sovereign AI infrastructure. France-based Scaleway, a subsidiary of the Iliad Group, is building Europe's most powerful cloud-native AI supercomputer. In Italy, Swisscom Group will build the nation's first and most powerful Nvidia DGX-powered supercomputer to develop the first LLM natively trained in the Italian language. And in Singapore, the National Supercomputer Center is getting upgraded with Nvidia Hopper GPUs, while Singtel is building Nvidia's accelerated AI factories across Southeast Asia. Nvidia's ability to offer end-to-end compute to networking technologies, full-stack software, AI expertise, and rich ecosystem of partners and customers allows sovereign AI and regional cloud providers to jumpstart their country's AI ambitions. From nothing the previous year, we believe sovereign AI revenue can approach the high single-digit billions this year. The importance of AI has caught the attention of every nation. We ramped new products designed specifically for China that don't require an export control license. Our data center revenue in China is down significantly from the level prior to the imposition of the new export control restrictions in October. We expect the market in China to remain very competitive going forward. From a product perspective, the vast majority of compute revenue was driven by our Hopper GPU architecture. Demand for Hopper during the quarter continued to increase. Thanks to CUDA algorithm innovations, we've been able to accelerate LLM inference on H100 by up to 3x, which can translate to a 3x cost reduction for serving popular models like Llama 3. We started sampling the H200 in Q1 and are currently in production with shipments on track for Q2. The first H200 system was delivered by Jensen to Sam Altman and the team at OpenAI and powered their amazing GPT-4o demos last week. H200 nearly doubles the inference performance of H100, delivering significant value for production deployments. For example, using Llama 3, which with 700 billion parameters, a single NVIDIA HGX H200 server can deliver 24,000 tokens per second, supporting more than 2,400 users at the same time. That means for every $1 spent on NVIDIA HGX H200 servers at current prices per token, an API provider serving Llama 3 tokens can generate $7 in revenue over 4 years. With ongoing software optimizations, we continue to improve the performance of NVIDIA AI infrastructure for serving AI models. While supply for H100 improve, we are still constrained on H200. At the same time, Blackwell is in full production. We are working to bring up our system and cloud partners for global availability later this year. Demand for H200 and Blackwell is well ahead of supply, and we expect demand may exceed supply well into next year. Grace Hopper Superchip is shipping in volume. Last week at the International Supercomputing Conference, we announced that 9 new supercomputers worldwide are using Grace Hopper for combined 200 exaflops of energy-efficient AI processing power delivered this year. These include the ALPS supercomputer at the Swiss National Supercomputing Center, the fastest AI supercomputer in Europe, Isambard AI at the University of Bristol in the UK, and Jupiter in the Jülich Supercomputing Center in Germany. We are seeing an 80% attach rate of Grace to Hopper in supercomputing due to its high energy efficiency and performance. We are also proud to see supercomputers powered with Grace Hopper take the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 spots of the most energy efficient supercomputers in the world. Strong networking year-on-year growth was driven by InfiniBand. We experienced a modest sequential decline, which was largely due to the timing of supply, with demand well ahead of what we were able to ship. We expect networking to return to sequential growth in Q2. In the first quarter, we started shipping our new Spectrum-X Ethernet networking solution optimized for AI from the ground up. It includes our Spectrum-4 switch, BlueField 3 DPU, and new software technologies to overcome the challenges of AI on Ethernet to deliver 1.6x higher networking performance for AI processing compared with traditional Ethernet. Spectrum-X is ramping in volume with multiple customers, including a massive 100,000 GPU cluster. Spectrum-X opens a brand new market to NVIDIA networking and enables Ethernet-only data centers to accommodate large-scale AI. We expect Spectrum-X to jump to a multi-billion-dollar product line within a year. At GTC in March, we launched our next-generation AI factory platform, Blackwell. The Blackwell GPU architecture delivers up to 4x faster training and 30x faster inference than the H100 and enables real-time generative AI on trillion-parameter large language models. Blackwell is a giant leap with up to 25x lower TCO and energy consumption than Hopper. The Blackwell platform includes the 5th generation NVLink with a multi-GPU spine and new InfiniBand and Ethernet switches, the X800 series, designed for a trillion-parameter scale AI. Blackwell is designed to support data centers universally, from hyperscale to enterprise, training to inference, x86 to Grace CPUs, Ethernet to InfiniBand networking, and air cooling to liquid cooling. Blackwell will be available in over 100 OEM and ODM systems at launch, more than double the number of Hopper's launch and representing every major computer maker in the world. This will support fast and broad adoption across the customer types, workloads, and data center environments in the first year of shipments. Blackwell time-to-market customers include Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, Oracle, Tesla, and xAI. We announced a new software product with the introduction of NVIDIA Inference Microservices, or NIM. NIMs provide secure and performance-optimized containers powered by NVIDIA CUDA acceleration in network computing and inference software, including Triton Inference Server and TensorRT LLM, with industry-standard APIs for a broad range of use cases, including large language models for text, speech, imaging, vision, robotics, genomics, and digital biology. They enable developers to quickly build and deploy generative AI applications using leading models from NVIDIA, AI21, Adept, Cohere, Getty Images, and Shutterstock, and open models from Google, Hugging Face, Meta, Microsoft, Mistral AI, Snowflake, and Stability AI. NIMs will be offered as part of our NVIDIA AI Enterprise Software Platform for production deployment in the cloud or on-prem. Moving to gaming and AI PCs. Gaming revenue of $2.65 billion was down 8% sequentially and up 18% year-on-year, consistent with our outlook for a seasonal decline. The GeForce RTX Supers GPUs market reception is strong, and end demand and channel inventory remain healthy across the product range. From the very start of our AI journey, we equipped GeForce RTX GPUs with CUDA Tensor cores. Now with over 100 million of an installed base, GeForce RTX GPUs are perfect for gamers, creators, AI enthusiasts, and offer unmatched performance for running generative AI applications on PCs. NVIDIA has full technology stack for deploying and running fast and efficient generative AI inference on GeForce RTX PCs. TensorRT LLM now accelerates Microsoft Phi 3 mini model and Google's Gemma 2B and 7B models, as well as popular AI frameworks, including LangChain and Llama Index. Yesterday, NVIDIA and Microsoft announced AI performance optimizations for Windows to help run LLMs up to 3x faster on NVIDIA GeForce RTX AI PCs. And top game developers, including NetEase Games, Tencent, and Ubisoft, are embracing NVIDIA Avatar Character Engine to create lifelike avatars to transform interactions between gamers and non-playable characters. Moving to ProViz. Revenue of $427 million was down 8% sequentially and up 45% year-on-year. We believe generative AI and Omniverse industrial digitalization will drive the next wave of professional visualization growth. At GTC, we announced new Omniverse Cloud APIs to enable developers to integrate Omniverse industrial digital twin and simulation technologies into their applications. Some of the world's largest industrial software makers are adopting these APIs, including Ansys, Cadence, 3D Excite, at Dassault Systems, Brand, and Siemens. And developers can use them to stream industrial digital twins to spatial computing devices such as Apple Vision Pro. Omniverse Cloud APIs will be available on Microsoft Azure later this year. Companies are using Omniverse to digitalize their workflows. Omniverse-powered digital twins enable Wistron, one of our manufacturing partners, to reduce end-to-end production cycle times by 50% and defect rates by 40%. And BYD, the world's largest electric vehicle maker, is adopting Omniverse for virtual factory planning and retail configurations. Moving to automotive, revenue was $329 million, up 17% sequentially and up 11% year-on-year. Sequential growth was driven by the ramp of AI cockpit solutions with global OEM customers and strength in our self-driving platforms. Year-on-year growth was driven primarily by self-driving. We supported Xiaomi in the successful launch of its first electric vehicle, the SU7 sedan built on the NVIDIA Drive Orin, our AI car computer for software-defined AV fleets. We also announced a number of new design wins on NVIDIA Drive Thor, the successor to Orin, powered by the new NVIDIA Blackwell architecture, with several leading EV makers, including BYD, XPeng, GAC's Ion Hyper, and Neural. Drive Thor is slated for production vehicles starting next year. Okay, moving to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margin expanded sequentially to 78.4% and non-GAAP gross margins to 78.9% on lower inventory charges. As noted last quarter, both Q4 and Q1 benefited from favorable component costs. Sequentially, GAAP operating expenses were up 10% and non-GAAP operating expenses were up 13%, primarily reflecting higher compensation-related costs and increased compute and infrastructure investments. In Q1, we returned $7.8 billion to shareholders in the form of share repurchases and cash dividends. Today, we announced a 10-for-1 split of our shares, with June 10th as the first day of trading on a split-adjusted basis. We are also increasing our dividend by 150%. Let me turn to the outlook for the second quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $28 billion, plus or minus 2%. We expect sequential growth in all market platforms. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.8% and 75.5%, respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points, consistent with our discussion last quarter. For the full year, we expect gross margins to be in the mid-70s% range. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $4 billion and $2.8 billion, respectively. Full-year OpEx is expected to grow in the low 40% range. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be an income of approximately $300 million, excluding gains and losses from non-affiliated investments. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 17% plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial details are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website. I would like to now turn it over to Jensen, as he would like to make a few comments.
Thanks, Colette. The industry is going through a major change. Before we start Q&A, let me give you some perspective on the importance of the transformation. The next industrial revolution has begun. Companies and countries are partnering with NVIDIA to shift the trillion-dollar installed base of traditional data centers to accelerated computing and build a new type of data center, AI factories, to produce a new commodity, artificial intelligence. AI will bring significant productivity gains to nearly every industry and help companies be more cost and energy efficient while expanding revenue opportunities. CSPs were the first generative AI movers. With NVIDIA, CSPs accelerated workloads to save money and power. The tokens generated by NVIDIA Hopper drive revenues for their AI services. And NVIDIA Cloud instances attract rental customers from our rich ecosystem of developers. Strong and accelerating demand for generative AI training and inference on the Hopper platform propels our data center growth. Training continues to scale as models learn to be multimodal, understanding text, speech, images, video, and 3D, and learn to reason and plan. Our inference workloads are growing incredibly. With generative AI, inference, which is now about fast token generation at massive scale, has become incredibly complex. Generative AI is driving a from foundation up, full stack computing platform shift that will transform every computer interaction. From today's information retrieval model, we are shifting to an answers and skills generation model of computing. AI will understand context and our intentions, be knowledgeable, reason, plan, and perform tasks. We are fundamentally changing how computing works and what computers can do. From general purpose CPU to GPU accelerated computing, from instruction-driven software to intention understanding models, from retrieving information to performing skills. And at the industrial level, from producing software to generating tokens, manufacturing digital intelligence. Token generation will drive a multi-year build-out of AI factories. Beyond cloud service providers, generative AI has expanded to consumer internet companies and enterprise, sovereign AI, automotive, and healthcare customers, creating multiple multi-billion-dollar vertical markets. The Blackwell platform is in full production and forms the foundation for trillion parameter scale generative AI. The combination of Grace CPU, Blackwell GPUs, NVLink, Quantum, Spectrum, NICs and switches, high-speed interconnects, and a rich ecosystem of software and partners let us expand and offer a richer and more complete solution for AI factories than previous generations. Spectrum X opens a brand new market for us to bring large-scale AI to Ethernet-only data centers. And NVIDIA NIMs is our new software offering that delivers enterprise-grade, optimized generative AI to run on CUDA everywhere, from the cloud to on-prem data centers to RTX AI PCs, through our expansive network of ecosystem partners. From Blackwell to Spectrum X to NIMs, we are poised for the next wave of growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jensen. We will now open the call for questions. Operator, could you please poll for questions?
At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. As a reminder, please limit yourself to one question. Your first question comes from the line of Stacy Rasgon with Bernstein. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my questions. My first one, I wanted to drill a little bit into the Blackwell comments that it's in full production now. What does that suggest with regard to shipments and delivery timing if that product doesn't sound like it's sampling anymore? What does it mean when that's actually in customers' hands if it's in production now?
We will be shipping. Well, we've been in production for a little bit of time, but our production shipments will start in Q2 and ramp in Q3, and customers should have data centers stood up in Q4.
Got it. So this year we will see Blackwell revenue, sounds like.
We will see a lot of Blackwell revenue this year.
Our next question will come from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot. I wanted to ask Jensen about the deployment of Blackwell versus Hopper, just given the system's nature and all the demand for GB that you have. How does the deployment of this stuff differ from Hopper? I guess I ask because liquid cooling at scale hasn't been done before, and there's some engineering challenges both at the node level and within the data center. So do these complexities sort of elongate the transition, and how do you sort of think about how that's all going? Thanks.
Yep. Blackwell comes in many configurations. Blackwell is a platform, not a GPU. And the platform includes support for air-cooled, liquid-cooled, x86, and Grace, InfiniBand, now Spectrum X, and very large NVLink domain that I demonstrated at GTC, that I showed at GTC. And so for some customers, they will ramp into their existing install base of data centers that are already shipping Hoppers. They will easily transition from H100 to H200 to B100. And so Blackwell systems have been designed to be backwards compatible, if you will, electrically, mechanically. And of course, the software stack that runs on Hopper will run fantastically on Blackwell. We also have been priming the pump, if you will, with the entire ecosystem, getting them ready for liquid cooling. We've been talking to the ecosystem about Blackwell for quite some time. And the CSPs, the data centers, the ODMs, the system makers, our supply chain beyond them, the cooling supply chain base, liquid cooling supply chain base, data center supply chain base. No one is going to be surprised with Blackwell coming and the capabilities that we would like to deliver with Grace Blackwell 200. GB200 is going to be exceptional.
Our next question will come from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. Jensen, how are you ensuring that there is enough utilization of your products and that there isn't a pull ahead or hoarding behavior because of tight supply, competition, or other factors? What checks have you built in the system to give us confidence that monetization is keeping pace with your really very strong shipment growth?
Well, I guess there's the big picture view that I'll come to, but I'll answer your question directly. The demand for GPUs in all the data centers is incredible. We're racing every single day, and the reason for that is because applications like ChatGPT and GPT-4o, and now it's going to be multimodality, and Gemini and its ramp and Anthropic, and all of the work that's being done at all the CSPs are consuming every GPU that's out there. There's also a long line of generative AI startups, some 15,000, 20,000 startups that in all different fields, from multimedia to digital characters, of course, all kinds of design tool productivity applications, digital biology, the moving of the AV industry to video so that they can train end-to-end models to expand the operating domain of self-driving cars. The list is just quite extraordinary. We're racing, actually. Customers are putting a lot of pressure on us to deliver the systems and stand it up as quickly as possible. And of course, I haven't even mentioned all of the sovereign AIs who would like to train all of their regional natural resource of their country, which is their data, to train their regional models. And there's a lot of pressure to stand those systems up. So anyhow, the demand, I think, is really, really high, and it outstrips our supply. Longer term, that's the reason why I jumped in to make a few comments. Longer term, we're completely redesigning how computers work, and this is a platform shift. Of course, it's been compared to other platform shifts in the past, but time will clearly tell that this is much more profound than previous platform shifts. And the reason for that is because the computer is no longer an instruction-driven only computer. It's an intention understanding computer. And it understands, of course, the way we interact with it, but it also understands our meaning, what we intend, that we asked it to do, and it has the ability to reason, inference iteratively to process a plan, and come back with a solution. And so every aspect of the computer is changing in such a way that instead of retrieving pre-recorded files. It is now generating contextually relevant, intelligent answers. And so that's going to change computing stacks all over the world. And you saw a build that, in fact, even the PC computing stack is going to get revolutionized. And this is just the beginning of all the things that, what people see today are the beginning of the things that we're working in our labs and the things that we're doing with all the startups and large companies and developers all over the world. It's going to be quite extraordinary.
Our next question will come from the line of Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Understanding what you just said about how strong demand is, you have a lot of demand for H200 and for Blackwell products. Do you anticipate any kind of pause with Hopper and H100 as you sort of migrate to those products? Will people wait for those new products, which would be a good product to have, or do you think there's enough demand for H100 to sustain growth?
We see increasing demand of Hopper through this quarter. And we expect demand to outstrip supply for some time. As we now transition to H200, as we transition to Blackwell. Everybody is anxious to get their infrastructure online. And the reason for that is because they're saving money and making money, and they would like to do that as soon as possible.
Our next question will come from the line of Toshiya Hari with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for taking the question. Jensen, I wanted to ask about competition. I think many of your cloud customers have announced, new or updates to their existing internal programs, right, in parallel to what they're working on with you guys. To what extent do you consider them as competitors, medium to long term? And in your view, do you think they're limited to addressing mostly internal workloads, or could they be broader in what they address going forward? Thank you.
Yeah, we're different in several ways. First, NVIDIA's accelerated computing architecture allows customers to process every aspect of their pipeline, from unstructured data processing to prepare it for training, to structured data processing, data frame processing like SQL to prepare it for training, to training, to inference. And as I was mentioning in my remarks, that inference has really fundamentally changed. It's now generation. It's not trying to just detect a cat, which was plenty hard in itself, but it has to generate every pixel of a cat. And so the generation process is a fundamentally different processing architecture, and it's one of the reasons why TensorRT LLM was so well received. We improved the performance in using the same chips on our architecture by a factor of 3. That kind of tells you something about the richness of our architecture and the richness of our software. So one, you could use NVIDIA for everything from computer vision to image processing to computer graphics to all modalities of computing. And as the world is now suffering from computing cost and computing energy inflation because general purpose computing has run its course, accelerated computing is really the sustainable way of going forward. So accelerated computing is how you're going to save money in computing, is how you're going to save energy in computing. And so the versatility of our platform results in the lowest TCO for their data centers. Second, we're in every cloud. And so for developers that are looking for a platform to develop on, starting with NVIDIA is always a great choice. And we're on-prem, we're in the cloud, we're in computers of any size and shape. We're practically everywhere. And so that's the second reason. The third reason has to do with the fact that we build AI factories. And this is becoming more and apparent to people that AI is not a chip problem only. It starts, of course, with very good chips, and we build a whole bunch of chips for our AI factories, but it's a systems problem. In fact, even AI is now a systems problem. It's not just one large language model. It's a complex system of a whole bunch of large language models that are working together. And so the fact that NVIDIA builds this system causes us to optimize all of our chips to work together as a system, to be able to have software that operates as a system, and to be able to optimize across the system. And just to put it in perspective in simple numbers, you know, if you had a $5 billion infrastructure and you improve the performance by a factor of 2, which we routinely do, you know, when you improve the infrastructure by a factor of 2, the value to you is $5 billion. All the chips in that data center doesn't pay for it. And so the value of it is really quite extraordinary. And this is the reason why today performance matters everything. You know, this is at a time when the highest performance is also the lowest cost, because the infrastructure cost of carrying all of these chips costs a lot of money, and it takes a lot of money to fund the data center, to operate the data center, the people that goes along with it, the power that goes along with it, the real estate that goes along with it. You know, all of it adds up. And so the highest performance is also the lowest TCO.
Our next question will come from the line of Matt Ramsey with TD Cowen. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Jensen, I've been in the data center industry my whole career. I've never seen the velocity that you guys are introducing new platforms at the same combination of the performance jumps that you're getting. I mean, 5x in training. Some of the stuff you talked about at GTC up to 30x in inference. And that it's an amazing thing to watch, but it also creates an interesting juxtaposition where the current generation of product that your customers are spending billions of dollars on, it's going to be not as competitive with your new stuff very, very much more quickly than the depreciation cycles of that product. So I'd like you to, if you wouldn't mind, speak a little bit about how you're seeing that situation evolve itself with customers. As you move to Blackwell, they're going to have very large installed bases, obviously software compatible, but large installed bases of product that's not nearly as performant as your new generation stuff. And it'd be interesting to hear what you see happening with customers along that path. Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Three points that I'd like to make. If you're 5% into the build out versus if you're 95% into the build out, you're going to feel very differently. And because you're only 5% into the build out, anyhow, you know, you build as fast as you can. And you know, when Blackwell comes, it's going to be terrific. And then after Blackwell, as you mentioned, we have other Blackwells coming. And then there's you know, we're on a 1-year rhythm as we've explained to the world. And we want our customers to see our roadmap for as far as they like, but they're early in their build out anyways, and so they had to just keep on building. Okay, and so there's going to be a whole bunch of chips coming at them, and they just got to keep on building and just, you know, if you will, performance average your way into it. So that's the smart thing to do. They need to make money today. They want to save money today, and time is really, really valuable to them. Let me give you an example of time being really valuable. Why this idea of standing up a data center instantaneously is so valuable, and getting this thing called time to train is so valuable. The reason for that is because the next company who reaches the next major plateau gets to announce a groundbreaking AI. And the second one after that gets to announce something that's, you know, 0.3% better. And so the question is, do you want to be repeatedly the company delivering groundbreaking AI, or the company, you know, delivering 0.3% better? And that's the reason why this race, as in all technology races, the race is so important. And you're seeing this race across multiple companies because this is so vital to have technology leadership, for companies to trust the leadership and want to build on your platform, and know that the platform that they're building on is going to get better and better. And so leadership matters a great deal. Time to train matters a great deal. The difference between time to train that is, 3 months earlier just to get it done, in order to get time to train on a 3 months project, getting started 3 months earlier is everything. And so it's the reason why we're standing up Hopper systems like mad right now, because the next plateau is just around the corner. And so that's the second reason. The first comment that you made is really a great comment, which is, how is it that we're moving so fast and advancing so quickly? Because we have all the stacks here. We literally build the entire data center, and we can monitor everything, measure everything, optimize across everything. We know where all the bottlenecks are. We're not guessing about it. We're not putting up PowerPoint slides that look good. We're actually, we also like our PowerPoint slides to look good, but we're delivering systems that perform at scale. And the reason why we know they perform at scale is because we built it all here. Now, one of the things that we do that's a bit of a miracle is that we build entire AI infrastructures here, but then we disaggregate it and integrate it into our customers' data centers however they like. But we know how it's going to perform, and we know where the bottlenecks are. We know where we need to optimize with them, and we know where we have to help them improve their infrastructure to achieve the most performance. This deep, intimate knowledge at the entire data center scale is fundamentally what sets us apart today. We build every single chip from the ground up. We know exactly how processing is done across the entire system. And so we understand exactly how it's going to perform and how to get the most out of it with every single generation. And so I appreciate it. Those are the 3 points.
Your next question will come from the line of Mark Lipakis with Evercore ISI. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Jensen, in the past, you've made the observation that general purpose computing ecosystems typically dominated each computing era, and I believe the argument was that they could adapt to different workloads, get higher utilization, drive cost compute cycle down, and this was a motivation for why you were driving to a general purpose GPU CUDA ecosystem for accelerated computing. And if I mischaracterize that observation, please do let me know. So the question is, given that the workloads that are driving demand for your solutions are being driven by neural network training and inferencing, which on the surface seem like a limited number of workloads, then it might also seem to lend themselves to custom solutions. And so then the question is does the general purpose computing framework become more at risk, or is there enough variability or a rapid enough evolution on these workloads that support that historical general purpose framework? Thank you.
Yeah, NVIDIA's accelerated computing is versatile, but I wouldn't call it general purpose. Like, for example, we wouldn't be very good at running the spreadsheet. That was really designed for general purpose computing. And so there's the control loop of an operating system code probably isn't fantastic for general purpose computing, not for accelerated computing. And so I would say that we're versatile, and that's usually the way I describe it. There's a rich domain of applications that we're able to accelerate over the years, but they all have a lot of commonalities. Maybe some deep differences, but commonalities. They're all things that I can run in parallel. They're all heavily threaded. 5% of the code represents 99% of the runtime, for example. Those are all properties of accelerated computing. The versatility of our platform and the fact that we design entire systems is the reason why, over the course of the last 10 years or so, the number of startups that you guys have asked me about in these conference calls is fairly large. And every single one of them, because of the brittleness of their architecture, the moment generative AI came along, or the moment diffusion models came along, the moment the next models are coming along now. And now all of a sudden, look at this, large language models with memory. Because the large language model needs to have memory so they can carry on a conversation with you, understand the context. All of a sudden, the versatility of the Grace memory became super important. And so each one of these advances in generative AI and the advancement of AI really begs for not having a widget that's designed for one model, but to have something that is really good for this entire domain, properties of this entire domain, but obeys the first principles of software. That software is going to continue to evolve. That software is going to keep getting better and bigger. We believe in the scaling of these models. There's a lot of reasons why we're going to scale by easily 1 million times in the coming few years for good reasons, and we're looking forward to it, and we're ready for it. And so the versatility of our platform is really quite key, and it's not, if you're too brittle and too specific, you might as well just build an FPGA or you build an ASIC or something like that, but that's hardly a computer.
Our next question will come from the line of Blaine Curtis with Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. I actually kind of curious, I mean, being supply constrained, how do you think about, I mean, you came out with a product for China H20. I'm assuming there'd be a ton of demand for it, but obviously you're trying to serve your customers with, the other Hopper products. Just kind of curious how you're thinking about that in the second half. You could elaborate, any impacts, what you're thinking for sales as well as gross margin.
I didn't hear the question. Something bleeped out.
H20 and how you're thinking about allocating supply between the different Hopper products.
Well, we have customers that we honor, and we do our best for every customer. It is the case that our business in China is substantially lower than the levels of the past, and it's a lot more competitive in China now because of the limitations on our technology, and so those matters are true. However, we continue to do our best to serve the customers and the markets there, and to the best of our ability, we'll do our best. And so, but that, I think overall the comments that we made about demand outstripping supply is for the entire market, and particularly so for H200 and Blackwell towards the end of the year.
Our next question will come from the line of Srini Pajjuri with Raymond James. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Jensen, actually more of a clarification on what you said. GB200 systems, it looks like there is a significant demand for systems. Historically, I think you've sold a lot of HGX boards and some GPUs, and the systems business was relatively small. So I'm just curious, why is it that now you are seeing such a strong demand for systems going forward? Is it just the TCO, or is it something else, or is it just the architecture? Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. In fact, the way we sell GB200 is the same. We disaggregate all of the components that make sense, and we integrate them into computer makers. We have 100 different computer configurations that are coming this year for Blackwell, and that is off the charts. Hopper frankly had only half, but that's at its peak. It started out with way less than that even, and so you're going to see liquid cooled version, air cooled version, x86 versions, Grace versions, so on and so forth. And there's a whole bunch of systems that are being designed, and they're offered from all of our ecosystem of great partners. Nothing has really changed. Now, of course, the Blackwell platform has expanded our offering tremendously. The integration of CPUs and the much more compressed density of computing, liquid cooling is going to save data centers a lot of money in provisioning power, and not to mention to be more energy efficient. And so it's a much better solution. It's more expansive, meaning that we offer a lot more components of a data center, and everybody wins. The data center gets much higher performance, networking, from networking switches, networking, of course, NICs. We have Ethernet now, so that we can bring NVIDIA AI to a large-scale NVIDIA AI to customers who only know how to operate Ethernet because of the ecosystem that they have, and so Blackwell is much more expansive. We have a lot more to offer our customers this generation around.
Our next question will come from the line of William Stein with Truist Securities. Please go ahead.
Great. Thanks for taking my question. Jensen, at some point, NVIDIA decided that while there were reasonably good CPUs available for data center operations, your ARM-based Grace CPU provided some real advantage that made that technology worth delivering to customers, perhaps related to cost or power consumption or technical synergies between Grace and Hopper or Grace and Blackwell. Can you address whether there could be a similar dynamic that might emerge on the client side, whereby while there are very good solutions, you've highlighted that Intel and AMD are very good partners and deliver great products in x86, but there might be some, especially in emerging AI workloads, some advantage that NVIDIA can deliver that others have more of a challenge?
Well, you mentioned some really good reasons. It is true that for many of the applications, our partnership with x86, our x86 partners are really terrific, and we build excellent systems together. But Grace allows us to do something that isn't possible with the system configuration today. The memory system between Grace and Hopper are coherent and connected. The interconnect between the two chips, calling it two chips is almost weird because it's like a super chip. The two of them are connected with this interface. That's like a terabytes per second. It's off the charts. And the memory that's used by Grace is LPDDR. It's the first data center grade low power memory. And so we save a lot of power on every single node. And then finally, because of the architecture, because we can create our own architecture with the entire system now, we could create something that has a really large NVLink domain, which is vitally important to the next generation large language models for inferencing. And so you saw that GB200 has a 72 node NVLink domain. That's like 72 Blackwells connected together into one giant GPU. And so we needed Grace Blackwells to be able to do that. And so there are architectural reasons, there are software programming reasons, and then there's system reasons that are essential for us to build them that way. And so if we see opportunities like that, we'll explore it. And so today, as you saw at the build yesterday, which I thought was really excellent, Satya announced the next generation PCs, Copilot plus PC, which runs fantastically on NVIDIA's RTX GPUs that are shipping in laptops, but it also supports ARM beautifully, and so it opens up opportunities for system innovation, even for PCs.
Our last question comes from the line of C.J. Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. I guess, Jensen, a bit of a longer-term question. I know Blackwell hasn't even launched yet, but obviously investors are forward-looking, and amidst rising potential competition from GPUs and custom ASICs, how are you thinking about NVIDIA's pace of innovation ahead? Your million-fold scaling over the last decade, truly impressive. Kudos, sparsity, precision, grace, coherent connectivity. When you look forward, what frictions need to be solved in the coming decade? And I guess maybe more importantly, what are you willing to share with us today?
Well, I can announce that after Blackwell, there's another chip. And we are on a 1-year rhythm. And so you can also count on us having new networking technology on a very fast rhythm. We're announcing Spectrum X for Ethernet, but we're all in on Ethernet, and we have a really exciting roadmap coming for Ethernet. We have a rich ecosystem of partners. Dell announced that they're taking Spectrum X to market. We have a rich ecosystem of customers and partners who are going to announce taking our entire AI factory architecture to market. And so for companies that want the ultimate performance, we have InfiniBand computing fabric. InfiniBand is a computing fabric. Ethernet's a network. And InfiniBand, over the years, started out as a computing fabric, became a better and better network. Ethernet is a network. And with Spectrum X, we're going to make it a much better computing fabric. And we're committed, fully committed to all three links: NVLink computing fabric for a single computing domain, to InfiniBand computing fabric, to Ethernet networking computing fabric. And so we're going to take all three of them forward at a very fast clip. And so you're going to see new switches coming, new NICs coming, new capability, new software stacks that run on all three of them. New CPUs, new GPUs, new networking NICs, new switches, a mountain of chips that are coming. And all of it, the beautiful thing is all of it runs CUDA, and all of it runs our entire software stack. So if you invest today on our software stack, without doing anything at all, it's just going to get faster and faster and faster and faster. And if you invest in our architecture today, without doing anything, it will go to more and more clouds and more data centers, and everything just runs. And so I think the pace of innovation that we're bringing will drive up the capability on the one hand and drive down the TCO on the other hand. And so we should be able to scale out with the NVIDIA architecture for this new era of computing and start this new industrial revolution where we manufacture not just software anymore, but we manufacture artificial intelligence tokens, and we're going to do that at scale. Thank you.
That will conclude our question and answer session and our call for today. We thank you all for joining, and you may now disconnect.
Sorry about that screech. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Hopefully that was useful. It's nice to chat with Kevin and you all in the chat during that. And it does look like it was a bear flag after all. That price has broken down. So I was kind of, I was putting the bear flag text up here initially, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm probably wrong because there's this big green candle. I'll just move it down here. But I was right. And so I feel like the tell with that is that just like when there's volume on the way up and then, or I guess I should say volume on the way up and then volume drops here, that suggests a continuation. Volume goes up, price goes up. But then here it's like volume is here, yeah, let's see. It just kind of goes up, but there's not volume behind the moves up. So I guess it's kind of like, reverse what it was over here. And then big volume when it starts coming down, then get more consolidation, but there's not much volume behind it as it goes up a little bit. And then, another pullback. But, I definitely could see this being well above 1,000, above $1,023.50, which is the after hours all-time high. And, that is the all-time high for the stock, but not during market hours. And so we'll have to see. I suspect that there will probably be a gap up tomorrow. There will probably be people FOMOing into it. It may not be sustained, but I can always be surprised with Nvidia, with semiconductors. I do think price will be going higher. And let's see. I'm just going to catch up on a couple comments. What's up, Vincent? I don't know if you were here for the whole thing, but yeah, I'm probably going to wind this down, and then I'm going to do a... Hey, Kevin and Vince, you guys know each other? I'm probably going to do a penny stock video tonight going over Kraken, ASTI, let's see, GTII was requested, GWAV, iSun also qualifies as penny stock, Mobox doesn't, and then let's see, Sing does, and then also... Let's see. I think there was another one that was requested. Barnes & Noble Education. Of course, I'll cover that, which may not be I don't think it's a penny stock anymore. I think it's crossed above $1, but it had some bouncing around technical level. The chart's pretty cool. I think a really nice example of when something's running. You can chase it if you want to, but always good to look for pullback levels. And it pulled back beautifully to a level that I kind of incorrectly pointed out. My line in the video that I did, the penny stock video, is a little bit lower, and so I wanted to go over how that could be adjusted to better kind of encapsulate the short-term, up move. But yeah, so I'll have that video out later tonight. Probably it will be unedited like the last one, but I am, going to put timestamps on this so can have it out for those who want to just listen to the NVIDIA call and or check the tickers that I covered that were requested at the beginning. And then, I'm going to go to the Planet of the Apes movie because I wanted to over the weekend, but got distracted and did not. And so I'm going to do that this evening, and then once recharged after that, we'll do a follow-up. Hey, Chris, and yeah, BNED. I'm glad you're looking for 84 cents, which I imagine is a pullback since it was above $1. Good to wait for pullbacks. I will go over a pullback that I kind of recognized before. I didn't partake in any of them. I'm not partaking in the penny stock plays. But Mac Attack on Twitter was like really pushing that it was going to run. It's like, yeah. But then I responded to him like, well, I think that this level is the 786, could be a support there. And then it ran up 100%. So he did a really nice job with that one. And also, putting it on people's radar. I, at least right now, am kind of like in risk off mode. I will basically... Yeah, I think towards into the fall, I'll probably be a little more ready for some risk. But right now, I'm not jumping into any penny stocks that are at least on that list. But yeah, on that note, though, I am going to wrap this up so I can add the timestamps. Well, it's still above 1,000. It's right around 1,002. So I should close this down before it crosses below 1,000. If that happens, it might. I suspect it. Yeah, I suspect it might. We did get a dip to 1,000, so I should wrap it up. And so the dips are getting bought up. Was the dip on that too? Let's see. So, I see volume increasing on dips of this big red candle to 1,000. That was the low. Volume's actually higher. So, and then it tapers off. And so I feel like that there's, more volume when it goes down. People are, just so my understanding, when price goes down, if price is going down and volume is going up, that suggests a continuation. And then the opposite with going up, when price is going up and volume's going up, that means that it's going to continue. So I suspect that this will be continuing down. And so on that note, I should wrap this up before it's below 1,000 because I think it's going to happen, but I may be wrong. But on that note, if you did enjoy the stream, if you do like the content, make sure you give it a thumbs up and always share your comments, whether in the share your thoughts, whether in the comments down below or in the live chat, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do try to do live streams as much as I can, And yeah, now it is right around 1,000, so I got to get signing off. We'll wait on pullback and see. My main play is GWAV. So yeah, I'll definitely include that in tonight's video. American Truther, I will also be going over Barnes & Noble ED, so do look for that. But it'll probably be coming out late this evening because I'm going to go to the movies soon while it's still light out here. Going to ride my bicycle to the movie theater, enjoy that, and then I'll come back. And I see the comment on a pullback on MU. And yeah, now it's below $1,000 a share. I wasn't able to close the video before then, but maybe we get a bounce and then I can close it. Yeah, so I'm going to close the video down now, the stream, and I'll have the timestamps. Soon I'll have more videos out. I should have more videos out tomorrow. I'm not going to stream tomorrow, but I will on Friday for the power hour for close, so do look for that. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the sun. It's been a beautiful day here, so I'm really excited to get outside, enjoy some of that on my bicycle.